Hi friends, today we will discuss about Lamarck's theory of evolution. This was a very important theory of evolution because it was a pioneer in the field of evolution, which is proposed by Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck. So let us see what is in this Lamarck's theory of evolution. This is very important for UG and PG students. So let us see what is Lamarck's theory. See, Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck was a professor in invertebrate zoology in France, and he was the first, or we can say the pioneer, to propose a theory of evolution. At that time, the churches were very powerful, religious ideologies were very powerful, but still, at that particular time or at that particular period, Jean Baptiste Lamarck was courageous enough to go against the churches and religious ideologies and proposed a theory of evolution. His theory of evolution is also called as a theory of inheritance of acquired characters. And he proposed his ideas and his postulates of his theory in a publication that is known as a Philosophy Zoologique in 1809. For this, he was criticized very badly, but still he managed to hold his position. See, let us see what are his ideas. Now, Lamarck's ideas of evolution was very advanced, ahead of its time, because at that time the concept of a creationist was there. The concept of creationist was that, or it is backed by religious ideologies. Churches have backed the concept of creationist, and in that concept of creationist it is stated that whatever the diversity, whatever the life forms are there on the earth, all are created by Almighty God. He was of the opinion that whatever the evolution, whatever the diversity that is today, that is because of the natural processes. It was not by the God. So naturally, he was very harshly criticized for his ideas. Even he was of the opinion that whatever the organisms that are, they are very simple initially, and they tend to form, or they tend to give rise to more complex forms. So evolution is from simplicity to the complexity. So these were the ideas of Lamarck. Now we will discuss about the first postulate of Lamarck's theory of evolution. First one is the tendency towards perfection. See, whatever the life that is there on the earth, that gradually move towards or tend to evolve towards the perfection. The simple organisms, they tend to evolve towards the more complex organisms, so that they can be very well suited for a particular type of environment. Now, this perfection is achieved through the long span of a time, and this does not happens in a day. So according to Lamarck, all these organisms have a tendency towards perfection. And how this perfection is achieved? This perfection is achieved by internal vital force. So according to Lamarck, each and every organism has a internal vital force, and that internal vital force is driving them towards perfection. So this is the first postulate of Lamarck's theory of evolution. Now, to support the first postulate of Lamarck's theory of evolution. Lamarck cited an example of a giraffe. According to him, initially the giraffe was a very simple animal like a zebra, and it used to eat a grass that is present on the ground. But gradually, what happened that due to the environmental changes, the grass which is present on the ground became scanty, and it was no longer available for the giraffe. So they have to forage from the tree canopy. Now, for reaching up to the tree canopy, it is very difficult for a small size giraffe, and that's why they used to stretch their neck towards the tree canopy. This means that that particular animals, they felt the need of a long neck, and because of that they started to stretch their neck. And what happened that because of the continuous constant stretching of the neck, these animals, they manage to get this particular type of a long neck, and now they can reach up to the tree canopy and they can feed on them. That means such a kind of a need which is formed due to the environmental changes, and this need is fulfilled by their inner vital force, and they manage to stretch their neck and reach up to the tree canopy, and that is why now giraffe has a long neck. So this is the explanation that is given by the Lamarck's theory for a long neck of giraffe. So this is the first postulate of Lamarck, and you can see here, according to Lamarck, the need of that particular organism that is responsible for uh, bringing about stretch or bringing about a particular kind of a development of that particular organ in their body, and this particular character is acquired. Then another postulate was that it is in continuation with the first postulate also, that environment and a new need. That means organisms that have developed their body according to the change that is needed. For example, in this case, they developed a long neck. This change is needed by organisms for their survival, and this for this survival is, or this particular organ is needed, that is because that particular environment demands that particular kind of a, the organ, and so these animals adapt themselves according to the environment. So this was the second postulate that is given by Lamarck. Now the third postulate of Lamarck's theory of evolution is the use and disuse of organs. Now you see that according to Lamarck, the constant use and disuse of organs, body organs, that decides whether that particular organ will be present in the next generation or not, or in a future generation or not. If a particular organ is used oftenly or used regularly, this particular organ develops into a strong organ and give it a kind of a power. Now, such a kind of a power in that organ is not seen in any other type of organisms. So, such organs, these are known as acquired characters or acquired organs. And if these acquired characters are used regularly by the organisms, these acquired characters becomes very strong. So, and similarly, if we or a particular organism disuse a particular part of the body, that particular part, disused part, tends to reduce in size, tends to reduce in power, and gradually it disappears from the future generations of the organism. So the use of a particular organ is responsible for more development of that particular organ in the organism, and disuse of particular type of a body organ tends to diminish from that particular organism. So this is the third postulate of the Lamarck's theory of evolution. Now, to support the third postulate of use and disuse of organs, this theory cited an example of appendix reduction in human intestine. You can see here they have compared gorilla appendix with a human appendix. That in case of a gorilla appendix of the gorilla is somewhat longer than the human appendix. This is because in a humans this appendix is not very useful, or it is not used, and that's why it's reduced in a size. Same thing is or another example is cited of disappearance of limbs in a snakes. According to this theory, that these snakes has to live in a burrows, and for that purpose limbs are useless, and that's why gradually these limbs were lost in the process of evolution. Similarly, uh, they also cited the example of a flightless birds, and you can see here the if the wings are not used, these birds, in case of these birds, wings are not used, and that's why they lost the ability to fly. So such a type of flightless birds have evolved. So all these are examples of use and disuse of organs. Now the last postulate of Lamarck's theory of evolution is a very important postulate, that is known as the inheritance of acquired characters. Now, as I have told you that, or in the theory, earlier three postulates, we said that if an organism requires a particular kind of organ, or if the environment to live in that particular environment, that organism thinks that this particular organ should be acquired, then that particular organism acquires that particular organ, and it becomes adapted to that particular environment. Now we can say that now this organism with its acquired character is perfect for that particular environment. So according to the Lamarck, this is how that a particular organism acquires by its will that particular organ, which is very useful for that particular type of environment. Then this acquired character is passed on to the next generation. So this is known as a inheritance of acquired character. Whatever the acquired characters that are taken by that particular organism, that is given to the next generation. So this is known as the inheritance of acquired character. For example, a long neck of a giraffe that is transferred to the next generation by the giraffe's ancestors, and this is how that these particular organisms have we see today that are having the long necks. So this is the idea of Lamarck, that these particular acquired characters are then inherited to the next generation. Now we can summarize the Lamarck's theory of evolution in such a way that, see, every organism have a tendency towards the perfection. They tend to move towards perfection. They are a very simple organism, but gradually they form a complex forms, and they perfect themselves. They do so with the help of inner vital force, and this inner vital force is a driving force that evolves them towards the perfection. Now, here even environment also plays an important role according to this theory, that environment uh, poses a kind of need for before these organisms, and out of that need these organisms they use some organs very efficiently as compared to other. So if these organs are used efficiently, used more often, and some organs if they are not used, so because of this some morphological changes that takes place in that particular organism, and because of that that particular organism is now perfect for that particular environment in which it is living. Now, such a changes, such a morphological changes that are there inside that particular organism, and now they are fit for that particular environment. Such a, changes, morphological changes, they are inherited in the next generation. So this is known as the inheritance of acquired characters. Whatever the characters that are acquired, these characters are inherited in the next generation, and this is how that the simple organisms they tend to move towards perfection or more complexity. So this is the uh, theory of Lamarck. It is also called as a theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Now, Lamarck's theory of evolution was criticized by many. Among them was the most important were Auguste Weismann and George Cuvier. George Cuvier was a contemporary of Mr. Lamarck. He criticized Lamarck's theory because he is of the opinion that, or he was of the opinion that the species does not change. Species were created by the Almighty God and they don't change. But Lamarck was the first to identify that there is a change, gradual change in the species over the period of or over a longer period of a time. But George Cuvier was not of the opinion, so he was a creationist, and that's why he opposed the Lamarck's views. He even ridiculed the Lamarck's views. The famous was this one, decartelization experiments by August Weismann in 1890. He performed decartelization experiments on rat, and he mutilated tails of rats for 20 generations and allowed 21st generation rats to breed and observed that observed the young ones. What he found that all the young ones have a tail. That means if that particular 20 generations of rat have not used that tail, but still he said that this 21st generation is with the tail. That means after several generations also, without using the tail, the young ones or whatever the next generation rats they were formed, they are with the head, with the tail. So he demonstrated that even if there is a disuse of a particular kind of a organ, that particular organ will be present in the future generations also. So the acquired characters or use and disuse of that particular, or the postulate that says that use and disuse of organs that are responsible for the generation of a new organ is not correct. So this is a famous decaudalization experiment by the August Weismann. Then even in India, the practice of boring ears and nostrils that is common in Indian women. But for and this practice of boring of ears and nostrils is going on from thousands of years. But still, all the children they don't have the holes in their ears. Every generation has to bore that ears and nostrils. So again, this is an kind of a demerit, or we can say the evidence of evidence against that particular Lamarck's theory of inheritance. Then another point that is given in Lamarck's theory of inheritance was that animal tend to develop a particular organ according to its will. So this is not correct. Animals' will is not important. Animals cannot adapt themselves to the changed environment at their own will. So the environment is responsible for change in the animal, not the this animal itself. So this is also a wrong assumption that is proposed by Lamarck's theory of inheritance. Now, why Lamarck was wrong? Lamarck was wrong at several occasions. When he explained origin of life, he said that there are multiple origins of life throughout the time. Again, he was very reluctant to accept that the species undergo extinction. He said that the species changes to another species, but they don't undergo extinction. Then he also said that acquired characters by an individual they are transferred to the next generation. That is also uh, wrong. Now we know that with the help of current knowledge or knowledge of genetics, we know that acquired characters are not transferred to the next generation. Here, when describing the giraffe, he also made a mistake of understanding the evolution correctly. Here, we know that in a population, the variations are there, and it is a known fact that these populations of giraffe they must have the same kind of a variation. Some of them were tall, some of them were dwarf, like that. So different kinds of giraffes will be there in a population, or individuals will be there in a population which are having a varying length of their neck, but only those giraffe who have the long neck they were selected against these dwarf individuals or small individuals. And now those giraffes which are having these long necks they were able to feed on the tree tops. Other individuals which are dwarf or which are smaller in size they may not have the chance to feed on that tree top. So gradually what happened that these smaller population or a smaller giraffes, they all have died, and the individuals which are having the long neck only, they survived up to the reproductive age, and then these they reproduce among themselves to produce this particular long-necked population of a giraffe. So this is the actual explanation of the example of a giraffe. Now, when we talk about a legacy of Lamarck, we know that his theory was discarded by various naturalists at that time. Even today also, his theory is discarded on the basis of modern knowledge. But he was the first to coin the term biology. He was the first to coin or first to distinguish invertebrate from the vertebrates. That's why he is called as the father of invertebrate zoology. He is the first to talk about the evolution in those times where the churches and religious ideology was prevalent. In those times, he managed to dare. Then he was the first to describe the role of environment in evolution. And another important point in his theory was the inheritance of acquired characters. This term was used by different scientists after the Lamarck. So this is the legacy of Lamarck. Nowadays, the people are again talking about the Lamarck's theory of inheritance or inheritance of acquired characters. This is known as a Lamarckian inheritance. And they are comparing this Lamarckian inheritance with the epigenetics. Now, what do you mean by epigenetics? Epigenetics is the term that is coined first by Conrad Waddington in 1942. Epi meaning upon, over, on, above, or besides, and genetics. Besides genetics, that is epigenetics. So, if we see the definition of epigenetics, you will find that a stable, heritable, but potentially reversible modifications of gene expression that does not involve mutations in the DNA sequence. This is the definition of epigenetics. That means this is a kind of a second level of a gene control, and this second level of gene control is by DNA methylation. We know that this particular kind of mechanism was not known to the Lamarck. So it is unnecessary that we should give a credit to the Lamarck, but we should understand that some of the organisms, they don't change their genetic, we can say that genetic makeup, but still manage to express some kind of a gene or to silence some kind of a gene externally without touching the DNA sequence or without touching any kind of a gene. Still some organisms, they manage to change the expression, and this is done by DNA methylation, which controls the expression of a genes. And it has been found that certain kinds of environmental stress is applied to a particular kind of organism, for example in some invertebrates or in some um, plants also. It has been found that environmental stress is responsible for silencing a particular kind of a genes and mm, opening of another kind of a gene. So this is what epigenetics is all about. So this is the new criteria, or people are again, they are they have started to believe that certain kinds of things that are there, that are known as a Lamarckian inheritance, that one generation that acquires, if that generation acquires that particular kind of characters that are passed on to the next generation without involvement of genes. So this is a Lamarckian inheritance and epigenetics. So friends, thank you very much for patient hearing. This is all about the theory of evolution by Lamarck. So if you like my videos, then hit the like button. If you want to subscribe my YouTube channel so that you will get latest uploads on this channel, Bamboo's Biogenius, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have any queries, then please write in a comment box. Even if you want to appreciate my videos, please go on commenting in the comment box. So thank you very much for your support.